Captain Rick Shelford scours the grounds for his 25,000 pounds of bear dye amidst violent and confused seas.
The Bering Sea has always been one of the most dangerous places on Earth. It is cold, stormy, and unpredictable. Huge waves rise out of nowhere, winds can tear through ships, and icebergs float freely, waiting to crush anything in their path. The water temperature stays close to freezing for most of the year, and even the smallest mistake can cost someone their life. Yet this same sea is home to some of the richest crab grounds in the world. For generations, brave fishermen have set sail into this icy wilderness to catch king crab and snow crab, risking everything to make a living. When the Discovery Channel decided to turn their lives into a TV show, nobody could have imagined how popular it would become, or how tragic. That show was Deadliest Catch. Deadliest Catch first aired in 2005, showing real crab fishermen as they battled the freezing waters of the Bering Sea. It wasn't a scripted show with actors or special effects. It was real people, real danger, and real life-or-death situations. Viewers were hooked immediately. The show gave people around the world a glimpse into a world they had never seen before. A world where one wrong wave could flip a ship, one wrong move could mean falling into the icy water, and one bad storm could wipe out an entire crew. The danger was real, and so was the reward. A single season of crab fishing could earn a crew hundreds of thousands of dollars, but only if they survived. The mix of risk, adventure, and human struggle made Deadliest Catch one of the most gripping reality shows ever made. At the heart of the show were the captains and their crews, strong, rough, determined people who lived for the sea. Each had their own story. Some came from long lines of fishermen. Others were newcomers chasing a dream or trying to escape their past. But they all shared one thing: the drive to face the Bering Sea and bring home their catch. The show became famous not just for the action, but also for the emotion. Viewers saw these tough fishermen break down in tears when they lost a crewmate, celebrate when they hit a big catch, and comfort each other through tragedy. The show revealed that behind all the storms and shouting, these were real human beings fighting to survive. But as the years passed, something strange started to happen. The show began to feel cursed. Many cast members suffered injuries, illnesses, or worse. Some captains lost their lives at sea. Others faced problems on land, from addiction to legal trouble. The more successful Deadliest Catch became, the more it seemed that tragedy followed its stars. Fans began to talk about the curse of the Bering Sea, a dark shadow that hung over the show and everyone involved in it. Some said it was just bad luck. Others believed the sea itself was punishing those who dared to profit from its dangers. Whatever the reason, the number of tragic stories continued to grow. One of the scariest events happened on December 31st, 2019. A crab boat called the Scandies Rose was heading out for a new season when it ran into a field of floating ice. The ice tore a hole in the side of the ship, and within minutes, the boat began to sink. 7 men were on board that night. Only 2 survived. One of them was Dean Gribble Jr., a fisherman who had appeared on Deadliest Catch. Dean and his crewmate barely made it into a life raft before the ship went down. They spent hours in freezing water before being rescued by the Coast Guard. The rest of the crew, including the captain and his son, were never found. Dean later said that the experience changed him forever. He could never look at the Bering Sea the same way again. For fans of Deadliest Catch, it was another painful reminder that the danger they watched on TV was all too real. Even though tragedies like this happened, the show continued. Viewers couldn't look away. Every episode was filled with tension. Would the crew make it home this time? Would they catch enough crab to pay their bills? Would they survive the storm? But behind the cameras, the toll on the fishermen was heavy. The long hours, freezing weather, constant pressure, and endless danger started to wear them down. Many of them suffered from anxiety, depression, and physical pain. Some turned to alcohol or drugs to cope. Others left the sea altogether, unable to take it anymore. The price of fame and fortune was higher than anyone expected. Over the years, fans started to notice that many familiar faces were missing. Some had retired. Others had passed away. It became clear that Deadliest Catch wasn't just a TV show. It was a window into a way of life that was slowly disappearing. The sea was claiming its own, one by one, and the story of Deadliest Catch was beginning to take a darker turn. While the dangers of the sea were bad enough, many problems started to come from within the crew itself. Some of the show's stars began to face personal struggles that shocked viewers. Addiction, arrests, and health problems became common headlines linked to the series. One of the most talked about examples was Josh Harris, the son of the late Captain Phil Harris. After his father's death in 2010, Josh became one of the main faces of the show. He was loved by fans for his determination and charm, and he even got his own spin-off show called Deadliest Catch Bloodline. But in 2022, a dark secret from his past came to light, a serious crime from when he was a teenager. The Discovery Channel immediately dropped him from the show and canceled his spin-off. Fans were shocked and heartbroken, realizing that even the most beloved stars of the show had demons of their own. Then there was Joshua Tell Warner, a name that became infamous among fans. He appeared on Season 5 as a new fisherman on the boat The Wizard. He claimed to be just another hard-working deckhand, but what no one knew at first was that Warner was actually a wanted bank robber. During his time on the show, he had already robbed several banks in Oregon. Amazingly, while his episodes were still airing, he robbed another one, and even went back weeks later to rob the same bank again. He was finally caught in December 2009 and sentenced to 9 years in prison. The story shocked everyone. How could a man committing crimes on land be starring in one of the most popular shows on TV? It added to the growing feeling that deadly health problems also haunted the captains. Scott Campbell Jr., one of the youngest and most ambitious skippers, was forced to leave the show in Season 10 due to serious back injuries caused by years of strain and long hours at sea. He later returned, but fans knew he was still fighting pain every day. Then there was Wild Bill Witrowski, one of the show's most experienced and beloved captains. At the end of Season 19, he revealed that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. For someone who had survived decades on one of the world's most dangerous seas, this was a shocking blow. But Wild Bill refused to give up. He continued to fish, even during treatment, and by early 2025 he announced that he was cancer-free. His story inspired many fans, proving that real strength isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about facing it head-on. Despite the courage of these men, the tragedies kept coming. The emotional and physical stress of crab fishing began to take a visible toll on the cast. Sig Hansen, one of the most famous captains on the show, suffered a heart attack in 2018 while filming. Quick action from a producer saved his life. Fans were relieved he survived, but it was another reminder that no one was invincible. The Bering Sea, as beautiful as it was, demanded a price from everyone who sailed on it. The older captains were getting weaker, and younger fishermen weren't lining up to take their place. Fewer people were willing to risk their lives for a job that could kill them in an instant. While all this was happening, another threat appeared, one that no one could fight. Climate change began to affect crab populations in the Bering Sea. Rising ocean temperatures and changing ecosystems caused the number of king crabs and snow crabs to drop sharply. In response, the U.S. government placed strict limits on crab fishing to protect the species from disappearing completely. For the fishermen, this meant shorter seasons, smaller catches, and smaller paychecks. For the producers of Deadliest Catch, it meant fewer stories to tell. Without enough crab to catch, the show had to shut down production for a time. Officially, the reason was environmental and economic factors. But many fans believed something deeper was at play. The so-called curse of the Bering Sea had finally won. As the show paused, fans reflected on its long, painful history. So many cast members had died, suffered injuries, or faced personal struggles. It began to feel as though the Bering Sea didn't want to be tamed. The same waters that gave life to the show were also the ones that took so much away from it. Some people began to wonder if it was even right to continue. After all, Deadliest Catch was more than entertainment. It was real life. Real men and women were risking their lives in front of cameras, and some paid the ultimate price. Others said that was exactly what made the show so special. It showed the truth. It reminded viewers how fragile human life can be when faced with the raw power of nature. The world of Deadliest Catch was one of constant struggle, against the sea, against time, and against themselves. But as the years passed, even the strongest captains started to realize that some battles can't be won forever. The Bering Sea had taken its toll, and the show that once celebrated courage was now haunted by loss. Still, the story wasn't over yet. Even with everything that happened, the deaths, the scandals, the health problems, and the environmental collapse, Deadliest Catch refused to die completely. The fishermen were too proud, too determined, and too connected to the sea to walk away for good. In August 2025, Discovery Channel announced a new season, focused on adaptation and survival. Instead of giving up, the captains found new ways to keep fishing within the government's rules. They began targeting different species like the golden king crab, cod, and Bairdie crab. The pay wasn't what it used to be, and the risks were just as high. But for these men, fishing wasn't just a job. It was a calling. It was who they were. Still, many fans questioned whether the show should go on. The cost of maintaining the boats, dealing with repairs, and paying crews had become enormous. The sea was getting rougher, storms more violent, and the equipment older. For older captains, every trip became a gamble. The younger generation wasn't stepping up to take their place. Most young people today were looking for safer, easier careers. In many ways, Deadliest Catch has become a symbol of the human spirit. It reminds us that the world still has places where nature is in control, where humans are small, and every decision matters. The Bering Sea doesn't forgive mistakes, but it also rewards those who face it with skill, teamwork, and heart. That's why, even after so many tragedies, so many of the show's fishermen still choose to go back. The sea is dangerous, but it's also home. It's where they feel alive. Today, as Deadliest Catch faces an uncertain future, one thing is clear: its legacy will last forever. It showed the world the reality behind one of the hardest jobs ever known. It taught us about loss and endurance, and it showed us the thin line between bravery and recklessness. Whether the show continues or not, its impact on television, and on the lives of those who lived it, will never fade. The sea may have taken much, but it also gave something priceless: stories of strength, resilience, and survival. As we look toward the future, we can only hope that the next generation of fishermen will find safer ways to carry on the tradition. But even if they do, Deadliest Catch will always be remembered as the show that captured the raw, untamed power of the ocean, and the people who dared to face it. The waves may rise, the storms may come, but the spirit of those who lived and died on the Bering Sea will never be forgotten. So what do you think? Should Deadliest Catch continue, or is it time to let the sea rest? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of television's most dangerous stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true tales of courage and survival. Because as the fishermen of Deadliest Catch have proven time and again, fortune always favors the brave. The ocean is a place of beauty, calm, blue, and endless. But for those who work on it, it can also be a place of terror. The same water that sparkles under the sun can turn dark and deadly in minutes. Waves that look harmless from shore can rise higher than houses, and the wind can howl with the force of a freight train. In these moments, the sea reminds everyone who's in charge. For fishermen in Alaska, this lesson comes every day, and no television show captured that truth better than Deadliest Catch. For almost 2 decades, Deadliest Catch took viewers deep into the world of crab fishing, a job so dangerous that even seasoned sailors called it the most brutal work on Earth. The show didn't use special effects or fake drama. Every scene was real. When a ship rocked in a storm, that storm was real. When a deckhand slipped on ice, it was real. And when a man fell overboard, it was real too. Sometimes with tragic results. The show didn't hide the danger. It put it front and center. That honesty made it different from any other reality show on television. When the series first aired on Discovery Channel in 2005, it wasn't expected to be a hit. A show about men catching crabs in freezing water didn't sound exciting on paper, but once people watched it, they couldn't stop. The camera crews captured raw emotion, fear, pride, exhaustion, and hope, in ways no one had seen before. Viewers saw the stormy Bering Sea thrash at small fishing boats, watched captains make split-second decisions that meant life or death, and learned how fragile a human life could be against the power of nature. Every episode was a reminder that heroism doesn't always wear a uniform. Sometimes it wears a raincoat. Over time, Deadliest Catch became more than a show. It became a global phenomenon. Millions of people tuned in each week. The fishermen became household names: Captain Sig Hansen, Captain Phil Harris, Captain Wild Bill, and many others. Fans quoted their lines, followed their journeys, and mourned their losses. The show won dozens of awards, including several Emmys, and changed the way reality television was made. For the first time, a reality show felt truly real. But behind the success, something darker was brewing. The same dangers that made the show thrilling also made it heartbreaking. Season after season, tragedy struck. Boats sank. Crew members disappeared. Captains suffered heart attacks, injuries, and burnout. And as the years went on, the show's stars began to fall one by one. To the sea, to illness, or to their own demons. What began as a celebration of bravery slowly turned into a haunting reminder of how fragile life can be. Fans began to wonder, was Deadliest Catch cursed? At first, the producers brushed off the rumors. Accidents happened. This was part of the job. But by the 2020s, the number of tragedies had become impossible to ignore. Between the storms, the deaths, and the personal struggles, Deadliest Catch had claimed more lives than almost any other reality show in history. The Bering Sea seemed hungry, taking back what it had given. Every time a new season aired, Fans felt both excitement and fear. Excitement to see their favorite captains again, and fear that it might be their last voyage. Then came the shutdown. Discovery Channel suddenly announced that Deadliest Catch production would be temporarily paused. Officially. The reason was environmental. Crab populations in the Bering Sea had dropped so low that the government closed large parts of the fishery. There simply weren't enough crabs left to catch. But unofficially, people suspected something more. Rumors spread of behind-the-scenes conflicts, safety concerns, and emotional exhaustion among the cast. Some said the network couldn't keep filming without putting lives at even greater risk. Others whispered that the curse of the Bering Sea had finally forced the show to end. For longtime fans, the news hit hard. Deadliest Catch wasn't just a TV show, it was a way of life. It gave ordinary people a window into a world they would never experience. It showed courage, pain, and resilience in their purest forms. And now, that world seemed to be closing its doors. But how did it come to this? How did a show that started with hope and adventure turn into one surrounded by tragedy and mystery? What really happened behind the cameras? And why did Discovery decide to shut it down when millions still wanted more? To answer those questions, we have to go back to where it all began. The icy waters of the Bering Sea. It's a place where legends are born and lives are lost, where every wave carries both fortune and danger. It's where the men and women of Deadliest Catch risked everything, and where many of them never came back. This is the story of Deadliest Catch. The rise, the fall, and the horrifying discoveries that changed everything. Music cue fades in. Sound of crashing waves, distant thunder. When you look out across the Bering Sea, it doesn't look like much, just cold gray water stretching to the horizon. But beneath that surface lies a force stronger than any storm, more unpredictable than any human heart. And once you enter it, you don't come out the same. That's where our story begins. The ocean doesn't keep secrets, it buries them. Beneath the waves, time slows, sound fades, and what's lost stays hidden. For centuries, sailors have whispered about strange things they've seen at sea. Ships disappearing without a trace, strange lights flickering across the horizon, voices that seem to come from nowhere. The sea doesn't explain. It just takes. And in the world of Deadliest Catch, that truth has never felt more real. Every man who's ever set foot on a crab boat knows that the Bering Sea isn't a friend. It doesn't care how experienced you are or how strong your ship may be. Out there, it's just you, the wind, and the water always wins in the end. That's the reality that Deadliest Catch brought into our homes. For almost 20 years, millions of people watched brave fishermen battle the most dangerous waters on Earth. But what we didn't see was how the danger followed them off the boats, into their minds, their families, and their lives. When the first episode aired in 2005, nobody expected it to change television forever. It was supposed to be a simple documentary, a few episodes about crab fishing in Alaska. But viewers saw something special. These weren't actors or scripted characters. They were real people risking everything to put food on the table. Their laughs, their anger, their fear. It was all real. And the sea didn't care if cameras were rolling. As the seasons went by, Deadliest Catch turned into more than a show. It became a symbol of human endurance. It showed that courage isn't about fighting enemies. It's about facing nature every single day, knowing you might not win. But over time, the danger that made the show famous started to turn against it. More accidents, more deaths, more heartache. What started as an inspiring story began to look like a warning. By the time fans heard that the show was shutting down, the damage had already been done. The sea had claimed too much, and the cast had seen too many of their friends disappear. Officially, Discovery Channel said the reason was environmental, that crab numbers were dropping, and fishing had to be paused to protect the species. But behind the scenes, something didn't feel right. Too many strange coincidences, too many tragedies, too much silence from those who once spoke proudly. What really happened out there? What did the cameras miss? And why did the world's deadliest fishing show suddenly go quiet after nearly 20 years on air? These are the questions that have haunted fans, and that this story will finally explore. The truth behind Deadliest Catch isn't just about storms or sinking ships. It's about people, their choices, their struggles, and the heavy price of living with danger day after day. Before the sea fell silent, it spoke through these men, through their courage, their pain, and their stories. Now we listen to what they left behind. Soft music fades in, sound of waves and wind. This is the untold story of Deadliest Catch, the rise, the fall, and the chilling discovery that changed everything.